All right, Martinsville in the truck. So I'm at 12 to 1, so keeping everything default. I tried lower brake bias, it was too much. Couldn't get any corner entry stability. Going up higher, I do recommend for the race because you don't really want to be right on this edge when there's a bunch of cars around you that are more than likely going to bump you. So I would recommend like closer to 70 for the race. If you're like going to be on the pole and you think that you can drive away from the field, maybe you can afford to come down to here. It's a little risky though. The risk versus reward is an interesting discussion. I think the closer to the front that you qualify, the lower brake bias you can get away with. It's going to be a first lap hot lap here. Going to keep it in third to get the run up here. That wasn't a barn burner, but it was honestly pretty clean, so I think we're going to stick with that. So we'll go here. I think that in whatever weather this ends up being, I think that you can pretty easily see something in the zeros, maybe the high nines. Depends on how much people can push the corners here. But yeah, like I was saying, there's not much to this run up. You just really take third gear, point the car down, and just drive full throttle off as much as you can. So here, I want you to notice a couple things. Talked about this in the B-Fix too. It feels that this is about going to be the same as Xfinity, except just a little bit different feeling getting on the brake. A little bit heavier feeling of a car. The Xfinity car feels really light on entry. This you have a little bit more stability. So I'm getting up to like 60% brake. But notice how my steering wheel, it needs to be straight in order to get the high amount of braking. And the moment I start having to turn my steering wheel, I have to lower the brake. And then when I get my full steering, that's when I have to be at my full 20 to 10% brake drag. So correlate your steering to your brake. You'll see I did pretty much exactly that. The car shape, you almost want to do the tiniest diamond. So you come down to the curb. Then you let it come up a little tiny bit, and then you turn it back down and try to get that little angle for the straight exit. That's like what you're going for. You could probably exaggerate a little bit more than I did. Dive it maybe a little bit deeper, exaggerate a little bit more, but you don't want to slide too far up because it's very easy to lose grip. Same thing 3 and 4. I find that I can't use as much brake in 3 just for whatever reason. But I'm still getting to 50 to start out with, and then I turn in pretty early. And then the diamond seems to be more pronounced in 3 and 4 usually. Even though I'm not that far off the curb, it just feels like a more pronounced diamond shape, and it might be because of the shape of the actual curb. It doesn't seem completely round. That might just be my mind playing tricks on me, but it's the same idea. We get to the bottom. Don't let the car slide up too much. Like let's look at the left front here. Like the farthest I'm off of this sucker is like a quarter lane. But you see how it's more or less the shape of a diamond. It's just a really tiny diamond. When you're at a flat track like this, diamonds are usually faster than just wrapping the bottom because there's no real banking. But at Martinsville, because there's very little grip anywhere but the bottom lane, you can't really do that. So you can only do that within the confines of the bottom groove. The second groove is not horrible, but it's definitely not worthy of running a hot lap on. So for long run, there's not going to be any long run. So we'll talk a little bit about just positioning of your car. Again, the high brake bias. I might have wanted to turn my brake bias up to 70 for this little run that we're doing here. But as long as you can keep within like a tenth of what the best guys are doing in your race, like no one's going to pass you without bumping you. So just keeping your car on the bottom is very important when you're on the bottom. So like, let's say I'm in here, I have to take the dive bomb line. Well, you can kind of just, you don't want to let the car slide up like this because then someone can take advantage of you on exit. You see how someone can get under you there. So instead what you want to do is you just slow down the car even more. Oh, I got on the curb. That's not great. But you slow down on even more, so that even though you're going slower, like, they're not going to drive around your outside. So if you're forced to take that bottom line, and if I get the corner good, you see how it's, like, not that bad. It's a 10th off. So, like, someone's on my outside, really get it in there. Oh, I can't miss that curb for some reason, but that, you really need to make an effort when you're side by side to just never leave that bottom. Again, it'll end up being a little tiny diamond. Okay, let's see if I can avoid the curb this time. Oh, I can't. What's going on? I think it's a little bit, like I said, I think the curve is a little bit different shape than 1 and 2. But anyways, when we're going to the top, we want to hold them down. So, like, you see how I really am, like, at least a 10th off of what I can do on the bottom, being forced to run the middle. So you have to hold them as far down as possible. The truck, you can really mash the throttle a lot more. Oh, I overdrove. You can mash the throttle on exit a lot more than you can in the Xfinity car. So don't be afraid to, once you get your car pointed, to just mash the gas. It really kind of responds as long as the car was pointed. When you're on your own, just run the normal almost qual line. I'm hitting a lot of curbs today. Must be getting tired, but yeah. So when you're running side by side in Martinsville, just really try to stick to your line. Don't overdrive the corners or else it's all over. And then once you get your car pointed, be as aggressive on the throttle as possible. That's really my little tips there. All right. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope to see you all on the track.